guys, Mike Dean. Just wanted to do a quick video real quick. Very new to the YouTube network, and really am geared towards speaking to the new beginners in the fish tank hobby, or the aquarium hobby, and really want to help people out who don't know the basics and who are most likely going to go to the big box corporate stores, listen to what the pet store employee has to say, and then go home and kill all your fish, because that's exactly the information they're going to give you. So I really want to help that person who is still thinking of the aquarium hobby like they used to when they were a child, winning a goldfish and keeping them in a little jar with no aeration and no filtration, and just educate people, because it's extremely simple. The way that your fish tank becomes an ecosystem, for lack of better terms, is simply 3 steps, and it always seems more intricate and a lot more difficult than it is. I wanted to break it down, and I want to show you guys a few points. And what this is going to be really geared toward is your full nitrogen cycle. Okay, the nitrogen cycle is going to be your biological cycle in which the environment of the fish tank can process all of the chemical toxins produced by the fish waste and the byproducts. The first thing that we'll talk about is going to be your ammonia. Ammonia is going to be excreted from the fish. The fish are going to eat food. Instead of urinating, they excrete the ammonia from their gills. That ammonia then starts to saturate the water, and if ammonia builds up, can be poisonous to fish, can suffocate them from their oxygen, and can literally suffocate the fish out to where they go to the surface, asphyxiate, and die. After the ammonia has been in the tank for a decent amount of time, a beneficial bacteria colony will start to colonize in your filtration system, along any surface area that has passing water current, your substrate, whether it's gravel, sand. I'm not very educated in the dirted tank aspect of the hobby yet, so please forgive me. Planted tank guys, I know that there could possibly be some beneficial aspects to a dirted tank as well, but I'm not sure. What's going to happen is your ammonia is going to start being eaten, for lack of better terms, by your first colony of beneficial bacteria. And your beneficial bacteria is going to convert the ammonia into another product called nitrite. Nitrite is going to be just as harmful to your fish as ammonia. I've heard people say that it's less harmful than ammonia. I've heard people say that it's more harmful than ammonia. I know for a fact that it's less of a stress to the fish if you do treat with aquarium salt or anything like that. Once the beneficial bacteria converts the ammonia to nitrite, then you'll have another bacteria colony that colonizes to convert the nitrite. Nitrite is then going to be converted into nitrate, which is much less harmful for fish. Your plants are going to use the nitrates as well, definitely as a natural fertilizer. So if you've got a planted tank, great, it's going to help you definitely remove some of the nitrates from your water, but that's where good husbandry to your fish tanks really come into the equation. Is after the nitrates and you don't have a planted tank, what happens to them? Well, if you're somebody who just is stuck in this lackadaisical world of I can have a fish tank and not do regular water changes, you're rudely mistaken. If you do not remove those nitrates, they will become toxic and they will kill your fish. They will stress them out and you'll have an issue. So very, very simple process. 3 steps. Ammonia, beneficial bacteria, converting that into nitrite. Then again, your second colonization of beneficial bacteria, converting nitrite to nitrate, your end product, which you remove either through a natural ecosystem, live plants, etc., or through your water changes. Now, I do want to go into a little more detail about the nitrogen cycle. Forgive me for looking off. I do have a few notes so I don't miss anything. The way that you're going to cycle your tank, you've got 2 options. You can do it with fish in it, which can be very stressful to the fish. Of course, depending on the type of fish, the size of fish, your filtration, the size of your tank, all of that. Or you can do it without fish. I've seen people use pure ammonia. Now, if you do this, you want to make sure that you're getting pure 100% ammonia, no scents, no additives. A lot of ammonia is used for cleaning products. My local area here in Louisiana, I have not been lucky enough to find liquid, pure ammonia to be able to treat it. So you can use fish food. It's just going to take a little bit of time to break down and produce that ammonia, where liquid ammonia is going to go right in there and be a food source for colonies of bacteria to start. When I first started, like I said, I was starting with koi fish, and I made life a living hell because I was doing daily 75% water changes for 3, sometimes 4 months, depending on the stocking density in the tank that I had. Make it easier on yourself. If you're gonna do a cycle with fish in it, do a very low stock number to where you're only having to change water once every few days. It'll make your life a lot easier. It's easy to sit here before you have all the tanks in your room and go, oh, I'm gonna change the water all the time. And then in that day of a long day's work, you come home and the last thing you want to do is change the tank. Then your fish start suffering. So now when it comes to biofiltration, which is going to harbor your beneficial bacteria, there are so many possible ways to create biofiltration. One of your main, most popular ways for filtration is a hang-on back filter. Anybody who's bought a aquarium kit that has the hood and the filter and all of that comes in one, it's usually a hang-on back filter. It's going to have a cartridge with activated carbon that goes in it. The activated carbon is going to be a pretty much a chemical cleanup for you to help purify the water. Now granted, it's not going to remove ammonia and nitrite and nitrate, but it will help clean the water column and keep it free of other impurities. You also have canister filters, which a pump of some sort or siphon will deliver the water from the tank to a canister where it can either be pressurized, usually is pressurized, I've built some that are, and that'll flow through different stages of media. You've got mechanical filtration, which is going to be sponges. Got some of this under my bed. It's just, pillow fiber insert. I don't remember the name of it, but anything fibrous that water can pass through that can be filtered out is going to be a mechanical filter media. Then you have biomedia, which is something that is not going to get cleaned, or if it does get cleaned, very rarely, and it's literally going to harbor your bacteria. So what you do is you have your main mechanical filter that catches all the debris. You clean that muck out, every couple weeks or once a week or multiple times a week, depending on your habits. But then it filters through your biomedia, which is where your ammonia and your nitrites are processed into your end products. And then at the end of that, you can do a polisher. You can let it go right back into the tank. A polisher would just be a very, very fine mechanical media to really buff the water column and make it pristine. Problem is with water polishers, they do get clogged up pretty quick, and if you've got something that you want to run a long time without having to clean it, you throw a polisher on the end of it and you'll be cleaning it a lot sooner. So you've got those different types of biomedia in a canister filter. Now granted, if we go back to the hang-on back filter, if you stick a cartridge in the back of that has mechanical and chemical filtration as well. The chemical filtration being the activated carbon. Now you've also got, I think there's 3 different kinds. You've got the ammo block type of granule that goes in. It can remove ammonia. I think you've got one for nitrates as well. I try to keep it simple. I try not to rely on anything artificial to filter anything out. I want to know when my cycle's going, my cycle's done, and I can just be cautious of that and prevent any damage to my beneficial bacteria colonies. Cleaning your media. Most tap water, or any tap water, is going to have chlorine in it. I myself lived on a well for a few years where I got away with just using water right out of the faucet because it was from a well. I know you've got a lot more minerals in well water, but you don't have the chlorine, so I didn't have to worry about killing the beneficial bacteria. Now where I'm at now, very chlorinated, and sometimes I can smell the chlorine come out of the tap. I would kill my bacteria instantly. So let's say my hang-on back filter, I've got a Marineland for a 75 gallon here. Let's say the filters get dirty, I need to take them out and clean them. For instance, last night I did clean them. I was doing a gravel vac, and as that water came down the tube into the bucket, I would take my filter and I would put a little pressure on the end of it with my thumb and rinse that filter pad off. You know, a lot of people will just toss them and replace them. I try to clean them as much as I can because they do get expensive. That's one way. Just make sure that if you clean your biomedia, your mechanical filter media, anything, that you're using either aquarium water from the aquarium that it's from, because you don't want to contaminate it with something that could be in a different aquarium, or use dechlorinated tap water. Prevent that bacteria from dying off, because I promise you, you don't want to stall your cycle or stress your cycle. You'll kill fish because you won't even see it coming. Your ammonia will spike up, sometimes so little you don't even know it, and then your nitrites will go through the roof. And I've walked back into my entryway where I had a 55-gallon with small koi in it, and they're just belly up at the surface. No clue, had no clue at all. So keep an eye on that. Make sure that you clean it appropriately and that you're not setting yourself back. Your substrate. Your substrate can have a huge impact on biofiltration. Not as much with mechanical filtration. You've got gravel, under gravel filters where you can install, and those are one of the oldest ways I've ever known. I mean, I remember being 6, 7 years old and getting my first hexagon tank with an underbed gravel filter, and still not knowing what the heck was going on and how it worked. But you put this gravel filter, which has holes through it, which can breathe. It's also got a tube that comes up where you can drop an air stone. You lay your substrate on top of it, obviously gravel, because you don't want sand falling through and clogging it. What happens is that air stone over time draws that water through the gravel back up through the air stone tube, and now you're using that gravel as a filter source. It's not going to buff the water column, it's not going to remove any impurities, but eventually your beneficial bacteria will start to grow through that as well. Now, it's not going to be that case for everybody. If you don't have an under gravel filter, you're not going to have as much of a benefit to having gravel substrate for any kind of biofiltration. It's really if you're pulling that water current through the gravel. I know with my koi, I was absolutely shocked because I was learning on water changes and how to do everything appropriately, and most people were telling me, listen, if you're doing your water changes, when you gravel vac, only do half of it one time. The next time you do your gravel vac, do the other, because you're hurting your beneficial bacteria. Well, I had koi, and anybody who has koi know that they sift through any substrate that you've got them with. As soon as you're done feeding them to surface, they're down at the ground, and they go through the gravel so tough that they wear the color off of their mouths. That being said, there was, anytime I would gravel vac in my koi tanks, I wouldn't vacuum anything up. There was nothing settling, there was nothing getting there. The other thing you've got to worry about with gravel, if you do not gravel vac when cleaning your fish tanks, you can build up gas pockets of ammonia, toxic ammonia, and then if something were to happen where that gas pocket builds up enough, it will leak into the tank, and now you've got an ammonia spike out of nowhere and your fish are suffering. With koi, I didn't have to worry about that. They were my gravel vac system. I just had to clean the glass, make sure the water parameters were in check, and make sure my water changes were kept up. But back on the gravel, if you've got the under gravel filter, great. Make sure that you are vacuuming that gravel system periodically and partially. Don't do the whole thing at once, because you don't want to shock your bacteria system. Your bacteria colonies. Now, the main thing I do want to explain about the bacteria is aerobic bacteria, which means it feeds and thrives with aeration. If you do not have a very, very oxygenated tank, it is going to take longer for your beneficial bacteria to colonize. Same thing, this is going to be a theory of mine, and I strongly stick to it. If you do a fishless cycle, and you allow your ammonia to go through the roof, and you're not doing water changes because you don't have any fish in it and you're not worried, I personally believe that your cycle is going to take longer. And here's why I say that. Ammonia removes the oxygen from the water. It makes it undeliverable to anything in the water. So anything that needs it to thrive will be suffering from oxygen deprivation. If you allow your ammonia to climb up to 4 ppms in your tank, which you should change your water at 0.25 anytime you see a trace amount. If you let that ammonia build up to 4 parts per million, there's very little oxygen in that tank if you're aerating it, if you're rotating it, if you're circulating it. I believe that if we're talking about aerobic bacteria and you're not giving it air or oxygen, then it's going to suffocate. So make sure that no matter how you cycle your tanks, especially if you've got fish in them, keep the ammonia down, keep the nitrites down. Eventually they'll start to process and you can lay off. I do want to give some shout outs to some guys in the fish tank hobby and the community on YouTube. Guys that I've really been listening to and have really educated me. Guys, I am not somebody who knows everything or near enough. The people that I'm about to do shout outs for have so much more knowledge than me, and I really want y'all to go check out their channel. I want to give a shout out to Dan Haitshu, and I do hope I pronounced your last name correctly. I've just subscribed recently, but man, you understand the science of the tanks like nothing else. I own a lawn care company and I listen to you for 4 hours straight when I'm out mowing grass, so just wanted to say I appreciate it. Another shout out to the do-it-yourself King Joey Mullen. Guys, if y'all want to be able to build something for your fish tank hobby at home without spending a butt, arm, and a leg, go check out the Do-It-Yourself King's page. He's awesome. He'll teach you anything from building acrylic tanks to building glass tanks to filtration to sumps to, I mean, everything. You name it, he's got it. Check him out. The other guy is MA Fish Guy. I've just started watching him. Real good knowledge. You know, I breed angelfish, and he was one of my first angelfish breeding videos. So, MA Fish Guy, I appreciate you, man. You've given me a bunch of knowledge, and I am absolutely subscribing to My Aquarium Box. If you haven't heard about that, you guys need to check it out. Check out MA Fish Guy's channel. He's got the My Aquarium Box video on there. It's a subscription-based product or service, if you will. It's delivered to your door with free shipping, and people who are trying to experience new things or just want something a little more exciting for the monotonous routine of changing your water every day and feeding your fish, My Aquarium Box sends you a huge assortment of different products for the fish tank hobby. You can choose freshwater or saltwater package, and guys, you're saving about 50% on the products of what you would actually spend out in the retail market. So I know that the last batch that came in, they gave like a little tote bag, a couple little souvenir type deals, but then you start to get to the big guys. They've got Florus Excel, they've got, you know, Hikari cichlid food in there, they've got a chunk of driftwood. I mean, they've got some high dollar pieces in there, so I'm actually going to be subscribing to it, and I hope you guys too. The last shout I want to give is to Corey from Aquarium Co-op, and also your main man Lamont with you, man. You guys I also listen to when it comes to cutting grass and just being able to put those earphones in and become educated. Y'all completely dissect the hobby, the industry. These guys own their own actual pet store or fish store, so they've got a nice little double-sided view to it. You know, you've got him breeding at home in his own fish room, and then you've got him at the store running it retail-wise. So they talk about breeding, they talk about the health of species. I mean, it's awesome. So if you guys get the chance, please check them out. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please give your comments. I like feedback. If there's something I missed on this video, I'll redo the whole video. I want to make sure we're putting the most accurate information out there. I want to make sure we're getting beginners started off on the right foot and get people to start listening to the right people. I've gone to one of the stores, Pets, and this was when I was in the koi hobby, and I said, listen, I get a couple fish from you, which I no longer do that anymore. I got a couple fish from you, and it seemed like they were really stressed when I brought them home. I was wondering, for acclimation purposes, where are your water parameters? In specifics, where's your pH? Because I assume you guys don't have ammonia and nitrite in the tanks, right? Oh, of course not. Blah, blah, blah. Well, where do you keep your pH? Okay, well, she walks me over to the table and picks up a, color card from an API Master Test Kit. Points right there in the middle on the card, 7.0. Didn't even say 7.0, so it just didn't seem right, and I said, okay, thanks. Took the fish home, tested their water. 8.2. So if I would have listened to this employee, and I would have acclimated to her procedure, I would have shocked all the fish and possibly killed them. You're talking about a full 1 point jump. So be careful who you listen to, guys. If you're not educated, something sounds fishy, no pun intended, get on YouTube, subscribe, watch the people that you trust, and just be a part of the community, because we're out there trying to help people, and it's enjoyable for us. So thanks, please subscribe, and we'll have a new video up next week.